up, America? It's Sunday night, and that means football night right here. When the NFL and NBC collide, Dallas needs to rustle up a win. Just don't expect a warm welcome in Green Bay. Cowboys pack. Hit it.
All right, Sunday night, where are you? Waiting for the game that bleeds red, white, and blue. You want some football? We want it too. Hey, Jack, it's a fact. The show's back in town. Boys and the pack in a nasty showdown. The stadium's rocking. Time to crank up the sound. NFL's best have come to play. Coast to coast, there's just one thing left to say. I've been waiting all day for Sunday night. Get on your feet for a star-spangled fight. More than a game, it's every fan's right. That's why we're waiting all day for Sunday night.
Rodgers going to the end zone. Touchdown, Packers.
Oh, my goodness.
It is caught by Miles Austin for a touchdown.
Sunday night football on NBC. Al, Ed, and Chris are the best on TV. The stars are out. It's the place to be. 'Cause the NFL rocks on NBC. Yeah.
43 degrees. We'll take it. Clear skies, light winds. A good night for football. As DeMarcus Ware leads his Dallas Cowboys into Wisconsin to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers on NBC's Sunday Night Football. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Andrea Kramer, welcome to Green Bay. The Green Bay Packers come into the game with a mark of 5-3 off two very big wins 2 weeks ago here on the Sunday night against Minnesota. And then last week they shut out the Jets at the Meadowlands. They look much more like the team everybody expected to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They go into a bye week next week to get healthier and hope to lead the NFC North. With the win tonight, they'd be 6-3. Now the Dallas Cowboys, a record of 1-6, 0-4 at home. This team has lost 4 in a row, and of course they lost Tony Romo to a broken collarbone a couple of weeks ago. So 38-year-old Jon Kitna leads the team, at least until Romo gets back, and they hope that will be in the middle of December. But in a word, if you had to sum it up in one adjective, the Cowboy season, nightmarish. Now, Chris, what has happened? And what is happening with the Dallas Cowboys?
I'm not sure 30 seconds is enough to explain all that, but let's forget about X's and O's for a minute. I mean, we're going to find out a lot about the Dallas Cowboys tonight, don't you think? About their heart, about their character. Are they going to show up out here and fight the way you would expect the Dallas Cowboys to fight? Are they going to fight for their head coach, Wade Phillips, whose job is very much on the line this season? We're going to find out some answers in about 3 hours.
Especially after that flop last week to Jacksonville at home. Now, Green Bay, we were in here a couple of weeks ago. Fans are all nervous. They're 3-3, can't win the close ones, but now they've beaten Minnesota and the Jets. What do you take away from those two wins?
Well, you know, for the Green Bay Packers, here's a team that has every excuse in the book. I mean, they have so many injuries on both sides of the ball. They could have easily rolled over. And yet, for the last 2 weeks, we've seen them really stand up. I thought their performance last week in New York when they shut out the New York Jets, probably the most impressive performance I've seen all year.
So they try to make it 3 in a row, go to 6-3 tonight. We're going to see Charles Woodson, the great defensive back in his 13th season in the league of the Packers, taking on Miles Austin and the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football.
NBC Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Aaron Rodgers' favorite target has been Greg Jennings. He's caught 32 balls this season. He is the Packers' leading receiver, and moments ago he was down on the field with Andrea Kramer. Andrea.
Thank you very much, Al. Well, the Cowboys have allowed 4 touchdown passes in back-to-back games. So, Greg, how can you exploit their pass defense tonight?
Well, we're just going to try to control what we can control on offense, and that's being assignment sound, being fundamentally sound, and trying to get the ball in the end zone.
You come into this game off of 2 big wins facing a 1-6 Cowboys team. How have you guys prepared to avoid a potential letdown?
Well, we prepared like they're 6-1. You know, they're a team that has a lot of talent, and they've yet to put it on all 4 quarters. So we just got to make sure we don't let them show their potential tonight.
All right, Greg, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Al, Jennings will be without fellow wide receiver Donald Driver, who's missing just his 2nd game since 2004. But the Packers will have defensive end Ryan Pickett, who's missed virtually all of the last 3 games with a sprained ankle. As for the Cowboys, Kyle Kozar, who himself has missed the past 2 games with an ankle, is back starting at left guard.
And as for the Cowboys, there is Wade Phillips. Through it all, he's able to maintain some homespun humor, a little smile there. He walked into the room last night, and we said to him, "How you doing?" He said, "Well, they can't kill you and eat you."
He doesn't think.
Not to this point. Mason Crosby to kick off, and Brian McCann, who was just activated from the practice squad, makes his NFL debut right here. And it's a ground ball that's picked up at the 19-yard line, and that is Scott Chandler, one of the Dallas tight ends, who brings it back up to the 31-yard line. Jon Kitna leading the team out onto the field, and let's meet the Cowboy starters.
Jon Kitna, Central Washington.
Mary Barber III, Minnesota.
Miles Austin, Garfield High School.
Roy Williams, Texas.
Dez Bryant, Oklahoma State.
Jason Witten, Tennessee.
Doug Free, Northern Illinois.
Kyle Kozar, Arizona State.
Andre Gerard, Colorado.
Leonard Davis, Texas.
Mark Colombo, Boston College.
So Kitna from the 30 will give the ball to Marion Barber as Dallas is still trying to get its running game in gear. Clay Matthews makes the tackle. For Jon Kitna, he's been around a long time. He was at one time the starter in Seattle in the late 1990s. He was the starter in Cincinnati early in the 2000s. And then most recently the starter in Detroit a couple of years ago. He has been backing up Tony Romo, who suffered that broken collarbone against the Giants. Last year, Kitna did not take a single snap. And they run a draw with Barber, and he's a little short of the first down. So 2 runs for Barber. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Charlie Pepper comes up from his safety spot to make the hit.
Well, if you've been following the Cowboys at all, you know that one of the cries during this losing streak has been about not running the football enough, especially without Tony Romo in there. They want to see him just pound away, and now that they have their entire offensive line back intact, looks like they're going to try and do that.
Yeah, collectively they're averaging only 3.7 yards per rush. 3rd and 1. Barber is the back, his 3rd straight carry, and he won't get it. So it's an automatic 3 and out. Charles Woodson comes up on a run blitz to stop him.
Well, here's what happens when you have the defensive MVP. Last time he played the Cowboys, sack and interception, and you always have to account for him no matter what. Remember, we were talking to Brett Favre, and Brett Favre said he thinks Woodson may be the best run player in the NFL. That's a heck of a statement about a cornerback.
And pretty good evidence right there. Matt McBriar sends the kick down to the 9-yard line. Tramon Williams eludes the first man, brings it back upfield, and runs it back out to the 18-yard line. A 9-yard run back, and let's take a look at the Green Bay offense.
Aaron Rodgers, Butte Community College.
Brandon Jackson, Nebraska. Corey Hall, Boise State.
Greg Jennings, Western Michigan.
Jordy Nelson, Kansas State.
Donald Lee, Mississippi State.
Chad Clifton, Tennessee.
Darren College, Boise State.
Scott Wells, Tennessee.
Josh Sutton, UCF.
Brian Balaga, Iowa.
And for Rodgers, a little shout out to his community college, Butte Community College. Of course, from there, he went to the University of California. He was the Packers' first-round draft choice in 05 from the 18-yard line on 1st down. And Rodgers buys time and shoots it underneath to Brandon Jackson, who is seeing most of the action out of the backfield now. Ryan Grant was hurt on opening day, their #1 running back, and is on IR.
Right there's a matchup you want to watch. Usually DeMarcus Ware plays on the other side of the field, but now because Brian Balaga, the rookie, is playing at the right tackle position, they're going to end up flipping him over. And then on the other side, of course, Anthony Spencer is going to go against Chad Clifton, although they will be going back and forth tonight.
And they had Donald Lee lined up in the backfield on first down. Now it is Jackson again, and that'll make it 3rd down and 3. Igor Olshansky, number 99, making the tackle. For Aaron Rodgers, had a great season last year. This year, kind of a sputtering start. Even suffered a concussion, though he didn't miss any action after the Washington game. Came back the following week. And right now, played very well against Minnesota last week, even though they didn't score a touchdown. Well enough to guide him to a 9-0 victory, along with that defense and great punting against the Jets. 3rd and 2. And Rodgers hangs in there, and that pass is going to be caught, and that's going to be enough for a first down to Jordy Nelson, who's covered and tackled by Mike Jenkins.
Well, the Packers really feel like they can throw the ball if they can get this guy right here blocked. There's DeMarcus Ware, this time against Chad Clifton. Goes with the bull rush there. But for Aaron Rodgers, he has such great confidence in Chad Clifton right now. He thinks Clifton is playing the best football of his career, and he's going to have to tonight against one of the best pass rushers in the game.
Ware with 8 sacks to this point in the season. On first down now. Rodgers with time. He's very mobile. He's flushed out. They chase him to the sideline, and he skirts the sideline and picks up a couple of yards. Out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Let's take a look at the Dallas defensive starters.
Marcus Spears, Louisiana State University. Jay Ratliff, Auburn University.
Igor Olshansky, Oregon.
Anthony Spencer, Purdue.
Brady James, LSU.
Keith Brooking, Georgia Tech.
DeMarcus Ware, Troy University.
Terrence Newman, Kansas State.
Alan Ball, Detroit DePorce.
Gerald Sensabaugh, North Carolina.
Mike Jenkins, South Florida.
That's a defense that allowed only 16 points a game last year and 27 thus far this season. And John Kuhn, the number 2 running back, picks up a couple there. You look at that defense, and you wonder, Chris. You look at it and you say, well, what is the problem? It seems to me to just be a collective problem right now.
Yeah, I think it is, but for the most part, it's been the secondary. This is a secondary led by Mike Jenkins a season ago that was just tremendous. This year, Terrence Newman's had some problems with his ribs here lately. Mike Jenkins has clearly not had the kind of season that he had. They tried to make a move at safety with Alan Ball. That's had moderate success at best. So a lot of issues back there.
And one of the issues right here is a timeout taken by that defense after Green Bay lined up 3 by 1, 3 receivers to the right and 1 to the left. And Wade Phillips is the man who calls the defense, and he took over last year. You have one of those interesting situations tonight where you've got the head coach of one team, Phillips, calling the defense, the head coach of the other team, Mike McCarthy, calling all of the offensive plays.
Yeah, it makes for a good matchup, but it really is surprising, Al. The Dallas Cowboys, the one thing that you knew about them going in, there were some questions, their offensive line, would their offense look the same? Could they still run the ball? All that kind of stuff. But you knew going in that Wade Phillips' defense would be good, that they would be able to hold you down. This is a team that I think was second in scoring allowed against them a season ago, now up around towards the bottom of the pack in the National Football League. So the one constant that everybody expected from the Cowboys really has not been there.
3rd and 3 after the timeout. Dallas wanted to get the right personnel on the field. And Green Bay now going 2 by 2 with Jennings out of the slot on the left side. And Rodgers with a quick throw to the right side. A first down, and the ball is loose, but it's picked up by Jordy Nelson. James Jones made the catch, and he's had some fumbling problems. Evidence right there, but a break for Green Bay as Nelson winds up with the football.
Well, on that one, Terrence Newman falls down on the coverage right up here, and he's got some issues coming into this game. He's been taking a pain-killing shot in his ribs, and they actually have had to put it right between the ribs. He showed me before the game he has a welt on there about the size of a quarter. He says he's still in pain, has trouble breathing, but he's going to give it a shot tonight.
3 fumbles this season for Jones. Again, Donald Driver not playing tonight, so we'll see a bit more of Jones. And right now, Jackson It's all he can do to get back to the line of scrimmage where he's tackled by Anthony Spencer. They lost Ryan Grant on opening day, and again, so it's Jackson. They were thinking about making a trade for another back, but wind up with Jackson as the main man.
Not often you see Anthony Spencer playing off the ball, but there he was basically in a linebacker position. And I'm sure that the Green Bay Packers offensive linemen were sitting there going, where is Anthony Spencer? And his running back find out.
Rodgers from the shotgun on 2nd down and 10. On Green Bay's opening drive, catch is made, short gain. Jennings is there, and Skandrick covers him.
Well, that's going to be a really interesting matchup tonight. There's Donald Driver, who's usually the slot receiver, but tonight they're going to put Greg Jennings in there, the best of these Packers receivers, and probably the guy that's going to struggle the most in coverage is Orlando Skandrick. So you get the best receiver against the third corner, and the Packers will try to take advantage of that.
3rd down and 7. And Rodgers throwing, and that will be caught on the outside by James Jones. So he's made 2 grabs already on Green Bay's first drive of the game, and that's Brian McCann, the rookie, making his NFL debut with the coverage.
Well, here goes Chad Clifton working on DeMarcus Ware, is going to push him just past Aaron Rodgers. And for James Jones, this is a big catch. James Jones has struggled this season, had a big drop a week ago, had a fumble earlier in the season, very costly against the Bears, probably cost him that game. It's a good start for him.
Rodgers a good start, 5 out of 5. And now 6 out of 6, even though most of the stuff has been underneath. That's Tom Crabtree making the catch. They're minus Andrew Quarles, their tight end, the rookie. Donald Lee and Crabtree are the 2 guys who are active. And, of course, Jermichael Finley was lost a couple of weeks ago. That was a big loss at tight end.
Yeah, Jermichael Finley, for fans who don't know that much about him, may have been one of the more exciting players in the NFL. And Aaron Rodgers smile on his face, but he wasn't smiling when he found out about Finley.
Kuhn is the tailback. Paul is the fullback. And here goes Kuhn through the middle. And the crowd lets you know who's carrying the football for a short gain. Spears makes the tackle. Chris was talking about that Cowboy pass defense and the troubles that they have had. 8 yards per pass allowed, and the quarterback rating in 3 figures, both the 2nd worst in the league. Third and 3. Packers have had the ball for almost 7 minutes. Rodgers flushed out, and then he gets sacked, and it's Skandrick who comes in on a blitz, and then Ball as well. So they sent 2 defensive backs in on the blitz on 3rd down and 3, and it pays off for Dallas.
That time they're going to come with the corner blitz right off the backside. Sorry, but I think it's on the other side. Coming off the backside of this thing. Really, they had one coming from both sides on that one. And really, one of the things that the Cowboys were criticized for a week ago was that they were too easy to read, that the coverages were pretty simple. And yet tonight they've come out in much more complex kind of looks.
Well, they're going to line up for a 54-yard field goal attempt for Mason Crosby. And the kick is blocked by Mike Jenkins. And it doesn't matter who winds up with the football. It's going to be Dallas's ball right now as Spears covers. There is a flag down on the play. Ball was kicked when it was on the ground. So a 54-yard attempt on a pretty windless night, but still outdoors, Lambeau Field. You don't see that very often.
But a definite win for the Dallas Cowboys. That was one of those drives they had gotten all too accustomed to seeing here lately. And then they stood up at the end of it. And if they get out of here with no points, that's a nice way for them to start.
Well, Walt Coleman will open up his mic for the first time tonight. There was Jenkins coming in to bat it to the sideline. And the flag came after the block.
I think it might have been, was it Stephen Bowen? I'm trying to see who it was. One of the defensive linemen in there may have been hit by two different people.
Illegally kicking the ball on the receiving team. That is a post-possession foul. Will be penalized 10 yards to the dead ball spot. First down for Dallas.
Dallas, the key is they get possession of the football with 5.5 to go in the opening quarter. No score. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Nissan, innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow, innovation for all. By the Miller Lite Vortex bottle, taste greatness. And by McDonald's, I'm loving it. Ball held last night back at our hotel, the Marine Ball, 235th anniversary of the Marine Corps. Veterans of World War II were there as well. So after the block punt, and we're going to take another look at it in a second. I think it might have been Ratliff who's going to get the block from the 18 on first down. This is Witten making the catch to the 21. Jenkins came flying in from the side. We'll take another look at it, and it looks like he deflects it, but he may have just either grazed it or missed it. And then there's Bowen, 72, and Ratliff, 90, coming in, and it looks like maybe Ratliff is the guy who gets a hand on it.
You're going to see number 72 go up, but actually Ratliff got to it before it could get to Bowen's hands.
Somebody was going to block it. That was too low anyway.
You and I both took a guess at both.
Right. 2nd and 7. Felix Jones is the back. The fake to him. Pass to the outside. And that's caught by the tight end, Martellus Bennett. That'll make it 3rd and long. Let's meet the Packer defense.
Ryan Pickett, the Ohio State University.
B.J. Raji, BC.
Cullen Jenkins, Central Michigan.
Clay Matthews, USC.
A.J. Hall, The Ohio State University.
Desmond Bishop, San Francisco City College.
Frank Zombo, Central Michigan.
Charles Woodson, University of Michigan.
Nick Collins, Bethune-Cookman.
Charlie Pepper, Alabama.
Tremont Williams, Louisiana Tech.
Al Harris still not active, but they did activate Atari Bigby from the PUP list on 3rd down and 9. There's a little flip to Witten, and Witten reverses direction and picks up the first down. That was a great move he made on Brandon Chiller. Chiller was going to stop him about 4 yards shy, but Witten goes the other way and moves the chains.
Well, they're moving Jason Witten around. Now he's in the backfield. And the big question for the Cowboys tonight, would they put Charles Woodson on him or Brandon Chiller? It's going to be Brandon Chiller tonight, and that time both Chiller and Woodson missed. And here's the big matchup. You've got Mark Colombo on the outside blocking against the leading sacker in the NFL, Clay Matthews. Did the job there.
From the 30-yard line. And again, a quick toss to the outside, and this is the good-looking rookie, their #1 draft choice, Des Bryant. And a lot of people were surprised during the draft that not that Bryant dropped as low as he did, because he got his issues at Oklahoma State when he was suspended for most of the rest of last season. But you could tell he was a talented kid. Jerry Jones wanted him, and he went out and he got him to supplement the receiver core with Austin, with Roy Williams, with the tight end Witten, and so far so good, and he's been great on punt returns. 2nd down and 5 from the 35-yard line. And Kitna floats one down the sideline, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Sam Shields, a rookie from Miami. Getting action tonight. Got position and intercepts it for Green Bay. Tomorrow night, the show is the event. From the unexplainable to the unthinkable, what will happen next? You can catch it tomorrow, the event, at 9 Eastern, Pacific, 8 Central, and Mountain, right here on NBC. It's always an event at Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Sunday Night Football back here for the 2nd time in 3 games, with Minnesota in here for that phenomenal game a couple of weeks ago that ended with Favre throwing just out of Moss's reach, back of the end zone, and Green Bay holds on to win it. stack the backfield here with Rodgers moving to his right, getting outside. Flag is thrown, and the ball is thrown into the Dallas bench.
Looked like Alan Ball working down the field against Greg Jennings. And Alan Ball is
holding, number 32, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Orlando Scandrick.
Yeah, it ended up being a little bit earlier up the field, and we talked about the matchup with Scandrick working against the top receiver, Greg Jennings. And really, though, this is one that really shouldn't even happen here because he doesn't have him in man coverage. He's just going to try and get a bump. But then when he grabs right there, and a big grab, a little push.
Packers already with some interesting power looks in the backfield. This is Jackson taking it up to the 45-yard line. So what does Jerry Jones think about all of this? Well, one thing he said, and I talked to him earlier today, he said, this game is how we technically make adjustments, particularly on defense, especially after last week. And he talked about Wade being keenly aware. They're in tune with that. So it's almost like, in a way, you're saying you got to go back to the fundamentals. And the Cowboys keep talking about we're doing the right things, we're just not executing them properly.
Clearly.
2nd and 7. Here's Jackson. And he fights for a first down. He's close to it. See where they spotted James and Brooking are there. So it will either be a first down or a 3rd and short. And Walt Coleman so signals move the chains.
You know, but it's been the little things all along, like this from DeMarcus Ware. Here, your star player. You can't get hooked. You know, there he is. He's in position. His job is to contain that run. And there's no question this guy can dominate at times. Last week, 2 or 3 times he allowed people to get outside him. So it's the star players even making mistakes, not just the guys down the line.
Kuhn is the running back. A little toss back to him. And Kuhn gets to the 43-yard line. John Kuhn, 5th year out of Shippensburg. Picked up on waivers in 07 from the Steelers.
I tell you, I bet you in John Kuhn's lifetime, he never thought he'd be playing tailback for the Green Bay Packers. You know, I talked to Joe Philbin. I said, "Do you ever think John Kuhn would be playing tailback for you?" He said, "He's a wing T fullback, but he's all we've got, and he's pretty good. He's done better than we thought."
And being serenaded by 70,000 at Lambeau. 2nd and 6. Fake to him. And Rodgers with Nelson covered perfectly by Newman. No room there. Now, if the Packers have had one major issue this season on offense, it's 3rd down. 3rd down conversions. Last year, Rodgers was phenomenal. And there it is through week 8. 2nd lowest on 3rd and short. And then tied for 19th with 4 or 6 yards to go. And then you go to 3rd and long. And they're 3rd in the league. So the longer, the better for them thus far. The shorter, not so good. Here it's 3rd and 6. Cowboys come. Rodgers escapes. He'll have a first down and a lot more. And out of bounds he goes at the 18-yard line. 27 yards on the ground.
We talked to DeMarcus Ware last night. He said he wanted to come up and then loop back underneath because he knew Rodgers would step up. Look at the hole it creates when he doesn't come back. Just an easy way for him to run. Other than Michael Vick, Aaron Rodgers about as good a running quarterback as there is in the game right now. Despite having an ankle injury coming in here, he looks pretty good.
Longest rush of the season for him, 27 yards. He averages 4.5 yards every time he runs with the ball. Give it back to Kuhn. And he'll take it to the 15, and that will take us to a commercial break because that is the end of the first quarter. No score in Lambeau Field in Green Bay, where NBC Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Aerial coverage tonight brought to you by Geico. Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Andrea Kramer. Sunday Night Football. Wade Phillips and his Dallas Cowboys. Mike McCarthy and his Green Bay Packers. And in the red zone, where the Packers are right now, they're 5th in the league in touchdown percentage. And the Cowboys are 27th in red zone defense. Green Bay tries to exploit the turnover, the interception off the last Cowboy drive. It's 2nd down and 8 at the 15-yard line. Blitz coming, gets it away, caught, 10-yard line. That's James Jones setting up 3rd and 2. Rodgers on 3rd down last year, the highest in the NFL in a decade. And on 1st down conversions, 2nd in the league. That was last year. And then you take a look at this year, a completely different story. 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and a rating of about half of what it was last year.
But so far tonight, 4 for 5 on 3rd down.
Right.
So that's a good sign for the Packers.
Jackson is the tailback on 3rd and 2. Off the fake. Jackson takes the pass. Jackson inside the 5. Touchdown Packers.
Looked like Jackson was going to go out in the flat. Instead, he just stopped, and Aaron Rodgers got him the football. Remember, they only needed 1 or 2 yards. Flip it back inside. Everybody chasing him down the field. And there's Sean Lee, the rookie linebacker, completely missing him in the open field. Not even a finger.
Yeah, Ware ran past the play. Lee got juked out. The extra point by Mason Crosby is good. So in the opening seconds of the 2nd quarter, Green Bay takes the lead. It's the Packers 7 and the Cowboys nothing. Sunday Night Football Extra, a neat deal. Check it out. Go to NBCSports.com. That's what it will look like. A lot of interesting stuff that supplements the telecast. Mason Crosby will send this one down to the rookie Brian McCann. And McCann, some nifty little moving around, and is taken out of bounds up around the 33-yard line. Dallas ball. Chris, 2 of the premier sackmeisters in the league tonight.
And if you're rushing the passer in this league, you better be able to turn the corner and put a little torque on your body. And these two guys, they know how to get that done. You can see them when they're coming around the edge. They get that little lean going to Marcus Ware here. Same sort of deal. Those big, tall tackles sometimes have trouble just trying to push them down in the ground. They use that pressure against themselves. Come in there and make some plays. Robert Mathis, I think, was our torque champion, though, so far this year.
Undefeated. On 1st down, slipping as he gets the football is Jones, and he is stopped in his tracks. When the season began, Dallas had that 3-headed running attack, the way it looked like it was going to go with Barber, with Jones, and Tashard Choice, but instead it's been Barber averaging less than 4 yards a carry. Jones has been okay, and Choice hasn't played very much.
Probably has a little something to do with that play in Washington on opening day, don't you think?
At the end of the 1st half, when Romo ill-advisedly tossed the ball to him, D'Angelo Hall ran it in for a touchdown, and of course Washington went on to win the game. And Kitna, before he can get rid of the ball, Clay Matthews is right there. And Clay Matthews, undrafted when he walked on at USC and didn't start until his senior year, is on his way to maybe being the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year.
It's so interesting. Watch him loop back inside. He was really just sort of setting up a stunt on the outside for Charles Woodson. He was almost a decoy on the play, just kept working as he's done all season long, and he is making a very strong case for defensive MVP in this league.
Leading the league in sacks, and he also missed a game with a hamstring pull. Came in with a sore shin tonight. Don't tell Kitna, and that's tipped, and then it is caught by Austin. It was tipped by Clay Matthews, and Austin gets it out to the 35-yard line. And it's 4th down.
Well, he has a major impact on everything. Watch him here. Comes around the corner, and they're trying to set up the screen, and he gets his hands on that football as well. He really didn't practice all week this week because of the shin, and they were worried about putting their blitz packages together. Guess they don't have to worry so much about it anymore.
Grandpa and Dad played in the league, and Uncle Bruce is in the Hall of Fame, the Matthews family. Good, deep, booming kick, but that'll skitter into the end zone off the foot of Matt McBriar. 20-yard line, another look at Clay Matthews. What a year he is having. 7-0, Pack. Tomorrow night on NBC, Matt Lauer will talk with George W. Bush. It's the president's first one-on-one conversation since leaving office. It's a primetime special tomorrow at 8 o'clock on NBC. And don't miss a special preview of that exclusive interview with Matt coming up at halftime tonight. Cowboy D back on the field. Green Bay takes over from the 20-yard line. Kuhn is the running back here on 1st down. Off the fake. Rodgers with time. Throws, caught. For the moment, Jennings had a 1st down. Let's see where they give him forward progress. Spotted just about on the stripe. And Walt Coleman says if it's on the stripe, it's a 1st down.
Well, the old rookie's hanging in there pretty good tonight on the outside. Brian Bulaga, #1 draft pick, and I tell you, this protection was really the difference on that play. The Cowboys try to bring pressure, and yet once again they don't get there. Their cornerbacks were left in one-on-one coverage for about 4 seconds, and that doesn't work in this league. You're not going to be able to cover these receivers that long.
He supplants Mark Tauscher, who's inactive again tonight. Kuhn tries the left side, and there is nothing there for him. 2nd down.
Well, for the Dallas Cowboys, it really comes down to what they can do on 1st down. So far this season, the reason the teams convert on 3rd down against them is they allow 6.3 yards on 1st down alone. So they end up in a lot of 2nd and 3rd and short situations, and you just can't win games like that. There they finally won on 1st down. Now it gives them a chance for some pressure packages.
2nd and 9. Blitz coming. They pick it up. The mobile Rodgers will stay in bounds and then get banged out of bounds. So Rodgers going to the sideline, and then Scandrick and Newman were right there. And Aaron was looking for that extra yard or two in the 1st down.
Well, it's the same thing. Again, too deep against Aaron Rodgers. If you run around the top of him, he's going to step up in that gap every time. The mobility of Aaron Rodgers has broken this Cowboys defense, and Terrence Newman tried to break Aaron Rodgers that time and looked a little like Brett Favre, didn't he?
And he knew exactly where that marker was, and he stayed in bounds. He's now carried 3 times for 44 yards tonight. And on 1st down, it's Brandon Jackson for a yard, maybe 2, to the 45-yard line.
Well, there's really no great mystery to the Dallas Cowboys defense. And talking to some of the guys, they were saying that, you know, hey, we started watching ourselves after David Garrard last week said that I knew what their coverage was going to be pre-snap. So tonight they've been working on trying to disguise coverages a little bit, but it doesn't matter. When they want to bring pressure, they have to play man coverage. That has been the basis of this defense over the last 3 or 4 years. And if they're getting beaten man coverage, it doesn't really matter how you disguise it. Here you clearly know this is man coverage.
2nd and 8. And Rodgers throws, and the defender Jenkins falls down as Jones makes the catch and gets tackled by Sensabaugh at the 33-yard line. So Jenkins, who had a real good year last year and is having a real rough year this year, falls down, and Green Bay moves the chains.
But look at how he's looking right at the wide receiver. The quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, knows it's man-to-man, knows he's going to have this back shoulder throw. And for Mike Jenkins, that's the way the entire season has gone. A guy that every break went his way last year. He made so many plays, made the Pro Bowl, and yet this year, it's been like that.
Team in microcosm. 33-yard line. Green Bay's gained 146 yards to 29 for Dallas. And Rodgers throwing. There's a flag. And it's Jones making the catch, and he's pushed out of bounds at the 2-yard line, but you saw the flag come in. Offense or defense is the question.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, 41, defense. Decline. First down.
Terrence Newman. He tried to sell it the other way, but the officials weren't buying.
Well, he's playing off coverage, so you know at this point you can't do it. They go a little slant and go. Newman knew he was in trouble, tried to just disguise, just to knock him off the coverage there a little bit. Little pump fake from Rodgers. And for James Jones, this performance, he had kind of gotten demoted a little bit. Jordy Nelson ended up starting the game tonight. And it looks like James Jones didn't like it. He's been playing well.
Jackson behind Johnson, the fullback, and he leans to the goal line and gets in for the touchdown. A little body lean and angles his shoulders, and that leads to a Lambeau leap.
That was impressive. Anthony Spencer is one of the best run stuffers for the Dallas Cowboys. He gets a clean shot, but it doesn't matter. Jackson's going to bounce off of that and just drive his way into the end zone. Pretty good show tonight for Brandon Jackson, too. Let's see if he gets that ball across the line.
And Dallas is going to challenge the call.
Well, we saw this one last week too, didn't we?
We've seen a few of them in the past couple of weeks, and resignedly
Challenging the ruling on the field of a touchdown.
Wade takes the flag back with a little bit of resignation. At best, they're going to have about an inch to go for a touchdown. We suspect the call will stand. It'll be a touchdown. At best, if Phillips wins the challenge, it'll still be second down and goal from about the 6-inch line. But it's just this mass of bodies. And when his forward progress stopped, Jackson appears to keep on going all the way through. And you can see right there, the ball would be above the plane of the goal line. Here's
After
Coleman.
reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown. Dallas will record for their second team timeout.
Well, Jerry Jones has watched Brandon Jackson with 2 Lambeau leaps tonight. One on a receiving touchdown, and this one on a rushing touchdown.
I wonder if Jerry's thinking about doing a leap himself. This is not good.
They need a leap of faith. I don't know where it's going to come from, though. Mason Crosby for the point after. 8:26 remaining in the first half. 14-0 Green Bay. Forrest Gregg, Packers offensive lineman. Guy who probably yelled at Chris from time to time, right? He was your coach in Cincinnati.
Every day. But he is absolutely one of my favorite people on the planet. He really is. He was so passionate about the game of football and such a great teacher. And love seeing him here tonight.
Packers very big on bringing back a lot of the guys from the past. Here is McCann. And McCann looking like Pac-Man. Not Jones either, up to the 40-yard line, just off the machine. Big interception, and that was the key turning point here early in the game tonight.
Yeah, you take a look, and you've got Miles Austin, your best player, on the outside working against an undrafted free agent, trying to get a little confidence going for Jon Kitna. And look at the catch this kid makes. One of the big reasons tonight that Al Harris wasn't activated when he could have been is because Sam Shields has been playing so well, a former receiver in college, and he looked like one there. Great play.
Felix Jones is the back here. Gronkowski is the fullback in this set. Kitna stepping up, hit as he throws, going deep, and that's too deep. Intended for Miles Austin.
Well,
2 big storylines tonight. It's funny, somebody was talking to me earlier in the week about what's the bigger storyline. Well, anytime Dallas plays the way it does, that is huge, You can't forget about the way Green Bay is playing right now, because they're ready to go into a bye week if they win tonight with a mark of 6-3.
Yeah, but for the Dallas Cowboys, they better start showing up out here, because they've got an owner up there who has some decisions to make, and he was expecting a little more emotion than what he got a week ago, and so far we haven't seen that.
No question. Here's Bryant. And Jerry's made it pretty clear. He said it publicly this week. I talked to him earlier today. He's a student of history, and you make a mid-season change, coaching change, it normally doesn't work out that well. You might, suck out a couple of victories and then have a false hope for the following year. So he's not inclined to do that.
Unless he starts watching this, and then you don't know what he's going to do.
3rd and 1 from the 49. Barber and Choice are in the backfield, and Barber just gets stuffed, racked up. Clay Matthews.
And I hate to say it, but it's star players. It's Jason Witten right here. Watch him slow out of his stance here, and Clay Matthews just beats him to the punch and completely destroys that play. Man, oh man. Awesome play by Matthews. Don't want to take anything away from him.
Meanwhile, the defensive end, Ryan Pickett, is the guy who is hurt. 4th down when we come back. By the so-called friendly fire in Afghanistan a couple of years ago. National Football League, very instrumental in the USO tours, and there was John Fox, Brad Childress, other coaches. And this was the scene here in Lambeau Field in Green Bay tonight in celebration of the upcoming Veterans Day holiday.
Got a chance to go on a couple of those USO tours. It is awesome. Played basketball against every U.S. military man in Germany, I think. I was there for 3 weeks.
Everybody comes back with great stories. Nelson makes the catch and slips down at the 13-yard line.
Well, one thing the Packers wanted to do tonight was get back to basics. They felt like that they had gotten a little too complex with some of their 3rd down packages. And Mike McCarthy said, we just dialed it back. It's like first week installation of training camp. We have such a small game plan tonight, but we're going to try and do what we do well. And so far, it's really worked out.
2nd and 4. Jackson. And Ware is right there, and 2 flags come in.
Well, that time, DeMarcus Ware.
Personal foul, grasping the face mask, 94. Defense, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
It's unbelievable. He had Tom Crabtree blocking him, a 4th-string tight end. Tom Crabtree couldn't block him if he came out there with a machete or something. And yet, even on a play that's perfectly played by DeMarcus Ware, could not do any better, they still end up giving up 15 yards.
Mm-hmm. It's an avalanche. From the 25-yard line. Little toss to Jackson. Squirts away to the 33. Let's check in with Andrea.
Well, guys, we've seen a number of the Cowboys slipping, and footing is a big issue for Dallas. At least a dozen players have changed their shoes. They're going to a longer cleat.
And that's on a field that's in really good shape. I mean, it's Green Bay. It's November. You would think you'd have a lot of brown spots. And maybe they came out with the wrong cleats tonight.
Yeah, sometimes you just never know till you get out there and actually start in the game. And sometimes even the temperature changes a little bit during the course of the game, and it can affect the field too.
2nd and 2. And that's Newman with the coverage on Jordy Nelson. When you walk on the field before the game, it's like Augusta.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well, I wouldn't know. You would know. So. Not that I'm bitter or anything.
But.
Hallowed turf both, aren't they?
How'd you know I didn't mean Augusta, Maine?
I had an idea.
3rd and 2. 5:23 left in the half. Dominated by the Packers. 190 total yards to 35 for Dallas. Draw inside, and look at that hole for Kuhn to the 50-yard line. Behind Sitton and the rookie Balaga over the right side, gain of 17.
It's completely unsound. Look at everybody over here. You've got two defenders on the right side of the center. How are you going to block that? It's impossible. It's absolutely a blown defense, a completely fouled up scheme. And if they're not having enough trouble physically, now mentally they're starting to break down.
Right on the 50 on first down. The fake. Rodgers feels the pressure. Buys time. Kuhn off his shoe tops. Gain of 3. Butler and Ware trying to sandwich Rodgers with that great presence in the pocket. Can feel it. Steps up and makes a little something out of nothing.
Well, you called it, Al. Aaron Rodgers' ability to buy time is the phrase they use in the NFL, to allow his receivers to work a little longer down the field. He's just sort of dancing around, feeling the pressure from the outside. The game really has come down to the ability of these two tackles to block the two best pass rushers of the Cowboys on the outside.
2nd and 6. Kuhn is in the fullback role in this set. So funny, of course, you're talking about, Green Bay talking about getting back to the basics, and even though they've been playing very well, and then that's all Dallas is talking about coming into this game.
Well, Wade
what happened to the basics?
Yeah, the basics. He said, I go, what are the basics? And he's like, blocking, tackling, holding onto the football, not bobbling passes. Last week Jon Kitna, 3 of the 4 interceptions he threw came off the hands of the receivers of the Dallas Cowboys.
3rd and 4. And Rodgers going deep. Jenkins gets beat again. Catch is made by Jennings. Beautiful pass. Great catch. Jennings beaten on the play. First down.
Well, here comes the blitz right here. And watch the Cowboys. They're going to step up and make the play. Obviously, when you're blitzing, you get man coverage. And I tell you, Greg Jennings, watch him be so casual at the end of this. He didn't want to stick his arms out because then Jenkins would know the ball's coming. So he just basically left his arms dead and allowed the ball to come in. Jenkins couldn't react to it. Another big completion against the Cowboys and for the Pack.
33 yards on the play. It's 1st and goal from right on the 10-yard line. 2-yard gain here for Jackson. 2nd down and goal. 2.5 to go in the half.
Let's take a look at Greg Jennings here on the tail end of this play. Watch him. He's not going to even act like the ball's coming and just let his arms kind of go dead and the ball comes in there, because really what Jenkins is trying to watch for is that last second move of the hands to catch the ball. Well, Jennings didn't show him that, so he was able to get the catch.
And Dallas is going to take a timeout here before a 2nd and goal. The new NFL.com mobile apps are here. You can watch live video, set your fantasy roster, and more. NFL.com/mobile. Check it out. Take a look at DeMarcus, where Andrea was talking about the problems the Cowboys were having with their footing. And you can see that Ware goes down because of the turf, went back to the bench for a second, but is able to come back into the game because they had taken a timeout.
And you could see his foot just slipped right out from underneath him. And sometimes you can go to those 3/4-inch cleats, but a lot of players don't like to wear them because sometimes your foot can get stuck in the turf and you get hurt that way.
That's Dimitri Nance who goes in motion and then sets to the left. Rodgers looks that way, comes back the other way. Touchdown, Jennings. They have been exploiting the Dallas opponents all year long. Over the middle, the safety Allen Ball, and he gets beaten here.
not really that complex a play, and yet when you have a corner that has moved to safety, it's a play he hasn't seen enough in his lifetime. He should have anticipated it. It's Greg Jennings. He's the star guy. There's no doubt they're going to try and work down the middle. Right here and right here are the two key guys. See the eyes going. There's nobody down the middle of the field. It's by far the easiest throw that a quarterback can make because you don't have to throw through any bodies. You know, a lot of teams will run that middle linebacker, you know, out down the middle in that Tampa 2 kind of thing. The Cowboys didn't do that. But this is just ridiculously easy to throw the ball on the Dallas Cowboys. And I know that they've made the move back there, and there's a bit of an experiment, but it has been an across-the-board collapse. The pressure hasn't been too bad this year. Jay Ratliff, maybe not quite what he was, and maybe Keith Brookings' face says it all.
So really the only big and major change they made is they let Ken Hamlin go and they moved ball to that safety spot. And well, all of these things just sum up the whole Cowboy season right now. That was a 93-yard drive that took 5 minutes, consumed 10 plays. And you got McCann. And he loses the ball and it pops loose. And it's a live football, and Collins is going to run in for a touchdown. Jared Bush was able to knock it loose. And Wade Phillips will hear from upstairs if it's challengeable. It still is challengeable with 2:04 to go.
Yeah, you don't have a choice here now. You're going to have to take a look at this thing. I thought he went to the ground, but it was hard to tell from all the way up here. Is that ball loose? Is it loose? Not yet.
Is he down with possession?
Tell there.
And if nothing else, you're right, Chris. There's the knee is down. He's down,
yeah.
And he has to challenge that call.
Yeah, better come out soon.
He had, and he just does. I mean, Green Bay.
Yep. Dallas has no timeouts left.
I just took a look at this. They used a timeout on defense on the second down play on the last series, and that was their last timeout. So he couldn't even challenge it. Oof.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that is insult to injury to insult. They would have won it.
And they challenged the one down on the goal line that they lost.
Right.
And it cost them this one.
You have to have a timeout left to make a challenge. And normally in the first half, it's no big deal if you use your timeouts. And of course, it's everything that's happened to Dallas this season. If it happens on the other side of the 2-minute warning, then it's a booth review. And the guy upstairs can stop it.
You know, the interesting thing about that is typically referees slow play that call because they're sort of trained that, well, we can always come back and look at it in replay. And yet in that situation, because it couldn't be challenged, the slow play actually played greatly to the favor of the Green Bay Packers.
Well, when you look at Dallas, they used a timeout on an unsuccessful challenge. They had to stop it early in the game when they had the wrong defense, and they get a small break here as it goes out of bounds before touching the goal line.
Kickoff out of bounds. Ball be played.
That comes out to the 40.
First down.
So they used those two, and then they took a timeout on a 2nd and goal for Green Bay to try to conserve some clock time if and when they got the ball back, and that took them out of timeouts and out of challenges.
Boy, remember when Jon Kitna was saying the hardest thing that we had to do is get over the Tony Romo hangover? That our team, you could just feel the emotion go out of the team when he got hurt. And it looks like the hangover is lasting even longer.
Kitna. And first time he hits his longtime Detroit teammate, Roy Williams. He makes his first catch. 2-minute warning with 1:59, and Green Bay up by 4 touchdowns. Toyota halftime show coming up. Favre and Sanchez leading their teams to overtime wins. And how about the Raiders? They beat the Chiefs in overtime. Mike Vick comes back to lead the Eagles over the Colts. Bob will talk about the Vikings and that soap opera and what a week that has been in Minneapolis. What a week it's been in Dallas as well, where the Cowboys right now are down 28-0. Second and 4, 1:59 to the half. And Felix Jones. Well, you know, Chris, you're right. I'd be surprised if Dallas does something in the middle of the season. But I don't know. Do you get to the point? Do you get embarrassed on Sunday Night Football like this? It's just been a train wreck. You're right. There's no other way to put it. And what do you do, though? 3rd and 6. And that'll be caught by Dez Bryant. And he makes the catch at the 43-yard line, as if the Cowboys didn't know they're out of timeouts.
Cowboys went back to basics this week, and they're basically awful. This has really been hard to stomach if you're a Cowboys fan.
From the 43-yard line. It's only their second first down. And then that is caught. And that'll set up a 1st and goal as Bryant is able to make the catch. And Kitna will head down the field. Shields and Collins with the coverage over the play on the play. It'll be 1st down and goal.
Good veteran move that time by Jon Kitna. He was able to move Nick Collins with his eyes and open up his young star. So back-to-back plays to Dez Bryant. Let's go to a youth movement here. Get the ball in the kid's hands and let's go.
From the 2. Kitna. And it's incomplete. Roy Williams. Was that one tipped?
Oh.
Might have been.
Tramon Williams should have had it. That one looked like it was thrown to Tramon Williams. He's going to undercut this one and just. Wow. Yep. Kitna was lucky on that one.
And Williams couldn't handle the deflection. It'll be 2nd down and goal, 25 ticks.
Have to be careful here. You can't take a sack. You're right on that borderline at 25 seconds.
Kitna will throw, and that one is knocked away. Intended for Witten. Sam Shields got a hand on a 3rd down and goal with 21 seconds.
What a nice play by Sam Shields on the outside. That's a young man that understands the game right there. He had a guy come out in the flat in front of him, but instead of jumping on that, Sam Shields didn't take the bait. He let his middle linebacker Desmond Bishop get him. He falls back underneath and saved a touchdown. He's having a huge night.
Here they come. Kitna gets it away, and it is caught by Bryant for the touchdown. Kitna just got the pass away. Shields with good coverage, but Bryant, the rookie, gets up in the air and pulls it in. And at least there's a pulse. A small one, but a pulse.
Well, for Jon Kitna, all he did was look at Nick Collins. When Nick Collins came on the blitz to that side, he knew he had his guy against Sam Shields, and he just threw it up in the air.
Beeler for the point after. So Bryant, the key man on that drive. The rookie out of Oklahoma State to make it 28-7. Sunday Night Football brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Try the newest $5 foot-long Sunrise Subway Melt. By DirecTV, if you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. By Toyota and the Tiny Football League, add your Pee Wee team. And by the Miller Lite Vortex bottle, taste greatness. Packers Hall of Fame. Lambeau Field, an exhibit documenting the NFL and the U.S. military on this Veterans Day Eve. Bouncing ball picked up 30-yard line. Matt Wilhelm. Let's go back to the Bryant touchdown as Matthews came in and laid a lick on Kitna.
Right here's Nick Collins, and as soon as he comes, Jon Kitna knows he just has the one-on-one on the outside, and Des Bryant really didn't even run much of a route. Kitna just said, I'm just going to throw it up to you again, kid. Go get it. And that was one heck of a catch. So when everything else goes wrong, throw the ball to Des Bryant, and he comes through. Clay Matthews on the backside. One more for you, John.
So a kneel down will end the first half. Big half for Green Bay. They lead 28-7 over the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Coming up next, the Toyota halftime show. But first, we send you to Matt Lauer with a preview of his exclusive interview with George W. Bush. Matt.
It's
what you played for, Sunday Night Football. All eyes on us tonight.
This is our time.
How about that catch?
Get up, get up, get up, get up, time to fly.
Jackson takes the pass. Jackson inside the 5. Touchdown Packers. Clay Matthews is right there.
And he is making a very strong case for defensive MVP in this league.
Halftime, Green Bay up 28-7 at Lambeau Field. You can follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Al Michaels with Chris Collinsworth, Andrea Kramer. Well, the faces of the Cowboys will tell you all you need to know at the end of the first half.
And that face says a little bit about it too. You know, I think from a fan standpoint, if you have one of those coaches that's yelling at your team all the time if they're doing poorly, at least as a fan you're saying, well, that's what I want to do to them too.
Right.
But when your head coach isn't really that personality that's going to get in their face, I think it frustrates the fans a little bit because they feel like that they're not being motivated properly. I've seen good motivators who are yellers and screamers. I've seen good motivators who barely say a word, you know.
Right, exactly.
John Wooden wasn't too bad at that whole thing. Bill Walsh wasn't too bad at motivating players. So there are different styles. But when you're losing, the fans want a few pounds of flesh being taken.
Tom Landry would fall into that category too.
Would.
Green Bay gets the ball. Fielder's kickoff. And Shields is going to bring it out from 5 yards deep. We're around the corner. And Shields continues his good night with a big-time run back out to the 43-yard line as we check in with Andrea.
Well, Al, at the half, Wade Phillips was irate with referee Walt Coleman. He thought that Brian McCann's knee was down and that they gave the touchdown to the Packers. Now, Dallas wide receiver coach Ray Sherman told me there was no panic in the locker room, but he said they have to open it up in the second half, use more 3 wide receiver personnel to run and pass out of it, and they must get the ball to Des Bryant.
Well, for Wade, he could have been mad at Coleman, but the only thing he could be mad about was the call on the field because he didn't have a timeout to challenge it. As Rodgers now on the move throws incomplete.
Well, for Aaron Rodgers, they've tried to get pressure on him, but they've basically done it the wrong way. When you try to go up and around, you essentially opening up those running lanes for Aaron Rodgers. As was DeMarcus Ware one side, Anthony Spencer on the other side. There's the same gap. One more time, step up and through. And now you have tremendous pressure on a secondary that's not performing that well anyway.
2nd and 10 from the 43-yard line. Brandon Jackson is the eye back, and they have a busted play here. And Ware is right there for an easy tackle in the backfield.
Well, that's one of those times that you look at Aaron Rodgers and you go, that one was on you, coach. There were 10 guys going left and Aaron Rodgers going right. So unless he audibled very softly, nobody got it. Watch Aaron. Everybody going that way. Uh-oh. Hello, Anthony. Or no, that's DeMarcus over there.
That'll make it 3rd down and 12. Rodgers, and Ware almost got there, but he gets it off to Kuhn. And at least Dallas is able to begin the second half with a 3-and-out against Green Bay. By the way, that's not a sack for DeMarcus Ware, if you're wondering, as he comes off the field, because that was, as it turned out, a busted play and a running play.
I tell you who else is having a really good night out here tonight, Al, and that's Josh Sitton, the right guard, and Scott Wells, the center. Jay Ratliff has been a non-factor in this game. And it's one of the reasons Aaron Rodgers has been able to step up and make some of those plays is because they've gotten him blocked inside.
Tim Mastey's first punt of the night. And there is Bryant slipping. And again, Andrea talked about the footing for Dallas. And it just continues as Bryant goes down at the 11-yard line. Early 3rd, Green Bay by 21. Jon Kitna's numbers tonight, the touchdown coming at the end of the half. Through his career, guys since 1980 with 150 or more TD passes and at least as many interceptions as touchdowns. Well, Jake Plummer, same number, and Jon Kitna, 156 and 156. So there's symmetry there, but if you're a quarterback, you don't want a 1-to-1 ratio, TDs to interceptions. You want, like Steve Young was well over 2-to-1.
And Kitna's going to need to be about 4-to-1 if the Cowboys are going to get back in this thing, and it needs to start right now. They have the weapons. I mean, this is a talented team. Just got to get it going.
From the 11-yard line on 1st down. And it is Bryant. He won't go anywhere. He's covered by Tramon Williams, who's really having an exceptional season.
He really is, and kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. Tramon Williams is just, he's a tremendous athlete, and taking over for Al Harris this season. There was a lot of pressure on him, and of course Charles Woodson on the other side, the defensive MVP of a season ago. And yet if you talk to these Packers players, the guy that is playing the best right now, you're looking at him. Tramon Williams, 3 interceptions the last 4 games.
Harris had knee surgery. They have to decide tomorrow whether they'll activate him or put him on injured reserve for the rest of the year. 2nd down and 10. And that pass is incomplete, and Woodson is right there with the coverage on Austin. 3rd and 10.
One of the things about Clay Matthews that's fun to watch is to watch the way he works his hands coming right off the edge. He is just so good at swatting the offensive lineman's hands off of him. You saw him make the game-clinching sack a week ago against the Jets with that kind of move. And now when you're in one of these 3rd and 10 situations, you better watch out for that guy right there.
How in the world didn't he get a scholarship that season? Not starting until he was a senior. And be this good and have that lineage.
Yeah, he wasn't that big, yeah.
3rd and 10. And Kitna will go down. It's a loose ball. Woodson came in and knocked it free, and Dallas is able to recover to at least keep possession and send in McBride to punt.
What a good-looking blitz this is. They occupy all the blockers on the outside here, and it's going to open up the lane right there for Charles Woodson. Zip, and Kitna's looking left. I tell you, whichever side Charles Woodson was on, especially if Clay Matthews on that same side, I'd be looking that way.
Tramon Williams is back to return the McBride kick, which is a beauty. Fielded at the 37. And the Dallas coverage is good. Williams is stopped in his tracks right there. Last year's defensive player of the season in his 13th year. Still as good as ever, Charles Woodson. Jay Ratliff, such a factor last year, so often, not much of one tonight. Kind of emblematic of what's been going on with this Cowboy defense right now. Josh Brent, rookie out of Illinois, a 7th-round draft choice, is in there for him. 1st and 10. from the 37-yard line as Rodgers sends one off to the left and complete for a gain of 7 yards to Greg Jennings.
And I think you bring up a good point there, talking about this interior line play. Darren College came in here with some back issues, but it's been Scott Wells and Josh Sitton all season long on that offensive line that has probably been their best 2 players. Chad Clifton, certainly make a case for him as well. But those guys have really held up beautifully, not allowing any penetration from that nose tackle position, giving Aaron Rodgers plenty of room to step up.
3 backs in this set, providing leverage as Jackson spins it to the outside and appears to have picked up the first down.
Yeah, one of the reasons they've been going to that 3-back set is because they don't have enough tight ends. You know, they've been going through tight ends so fast. So their change up off of that today was to go to that 3-back set.
First down. There's Tony Romo. Romo with a broken collarbone, going over things with Kitna. So this is the second week Tony's been out. And they mentioned at the top of the show it's possible he's ready to come back by the middle of December. But with the Cowboys at that point, Jones makes the catch. And Jones having a nice night. 14-yard gain. Speaking of Jones, Jerry Jones, and there he is, and a lot of things coming up, obviously, for the Cowboys, no question about it, whether it's during the season or after the season. But you know, Chris, there's a different dynamic at work than there has been in the past, and it all revolves around the collective bargaining agreement. Because if they don't have one, what do? You go out, you hire a new coach, and then in effect, he has a staff in place in January, but he may not be able to coach any players until maybe August, September, or whenever, because you don't know when they're going to reach a collective bargaining agreement. So that's another thing that has to be factored into this. As the catch is made by Brett Swain.
Well, I'll tell you another thing that has to be factored into it, and that's the fans. Because Jerry Jones has about as much to sell as any owner in the league with that stadium, and so they are going to try and start selling things here in the short term. You know, they sell the boxes, they sell the tours, all the things that go along with Jerry's world down there. And unfortunately, with the uncertainty with that collective bargaining agreement, it's going to be a tough sell with these Cowboys playing like this.
And it's something that's going to impact any team looking to make a change in the offseason. Second down and 8 from the 37-yard line. And Rodgers throws, and what a catch! Jordy Nelson makes the catch, and what a throw by Rodgers as well. As the coverage was to the inside and the pass was to the outside. Beats Scandrick on the play, 27 yards.
Well, a little out and up move, but what a throw by Aaron Rodgers, working on Orlando Scandrick all night. You're going to see just a back shoulder throw, and for Orlando Scandrick, there's nothing you can do. And it's one of the issues that teams now know, that when the Cowboys line up in that straight bump and run coverage across the board, plays like that are going to be there. They know exactly what the coverage is, as opposed to the Packers, where you almost never know what the coverage is.
First and goal, the ball right on the 10-yard line. And Rodgers just throws it away because the pressure was put on by Spencer. Second and goal.
Well, it's kind of that point in the game now where you start to find out about guys, don't you? You know, I mean, here you are, you're in a tough spot. It hasn't gone well. Your coach is under pressure. And now you start looking around. Who's playing? You know, who's really out there still laying it on the line and playing full go? Decisions will be made after this season. They'll be based a lot on what they see over the next few weeks with these guys.
Second and goal from the 10. And that's batted by James. Away from Swain. Third down and goal.
You know, one of the things that I'm sure that the Cowboys would like to begin to do a little bit is work a few of these young guys in there, like a Sean Lee, and yet Sean Lee is probably the least of the coverage guys for the Dallas Cowboys linebackers, so they leave him on the sideline in all these passing situations. So, you know, Wade says, I'm playing to win. I'm playing my best guys. I'm not trying to, it's not a developmental program out here.
Yeah, that's the dilemma when you have a 1-16. going to 1-7. At what point? At what point do you say to the fans we're playing for next year? Jones, touchdown.
Aaron Rodgers saw this one all the way. You just let the blitz come, throw the ball right in behind it on the quick screen. You'll see the Packers receiver on the outside just come back to the inside. Greg Jennings, knowing what the play is, look at him. He doesn't even turn around to look for the ball. His job is to go down and block Orlando Scandrick. You have to time it out perfectly. And like everything else the Packers have done tonight, it has been nearly perfect. What a performance.
And Jones getting more playing time tonight. The absence of Donald Driver, 7 catches, 107 yards, and a touchdown for a guy who's had an erratic year, but a big night tonight. And Crosby's kick is good with 8:38 to play in the third quarter. And the Green Bay Packers on their way to a third consecutive victory at this point, up 35-7.
Cause there'll be hard times. Hard times. Oh yeah, yeah. Who knows better than I?
A serenade you don't want to hear. If you're the Dallas Cowboys and you got to run back here from Brian McCann, who gets shoved into the Green Bay bench. And we go back to the touchdown.
Do you have the heart? Are you still playing all the way through? Watch Mike Jenkins back off this tackle at the end. About as close as you can get to just spitting in Wade Phillips' face. You've got to play the game. You've got to go make that hit. You never know. That ball can come out of there. Not good enough.
A play like that got Antonio Cromartie sent packing from San Diego.
Yeah, here it'll probably get Wade Phillips packing.
Somebody gets to go packing. In the meantime, he got Brian McCann, who is still down, and he's down on the Green Bay bench. In the bench areas, he got shoved out of bounds after the kick return. So they're not going to start playing until he's able to get back up and back to the other side.
Every year, Auto Pacific asks people how satisfied they are with their new cars on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being very satisfied. Well, apparently, 2011 Sonata owners answered very satisfied a lot. In fact, more than any other owners of any other car ever. Which makes us feel very, well, you know.
In 5 days.
My God. They're taking people out there.
They're not going down.
We have to survive.
Without a fight.
Let's do this.
Tonight show this week with Jay Leno. Arnold Schwarzenegger will be there. David Spade will be on the set as well. Jay pays tribute to military veterans with Kim Kardashian. The Tonight Show this week. Here we are. Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. 35-7. Green Bay on top with 8.5 to go in the third quarter. And Jon Kitna will throw deep downfield in double coverage. And Roy Williams will draw a flag. He really took a shot from Nick Collins as he lies on the turf.
Looked like a helmet-to-helmet shot.
Did.
And really totally unnecessary.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 36, defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, I guess they think the commissioner's joking about these, and I know it's tough to do, but, you know, he's going to be opening his mail here in the next week and paying the fine. You know, we talked to some of these guys, and, you know, it's so hard on the defensive players and trying to adjust and do all those things, but it just doesn't matter, you know. The NFL is not going to put up with this. They're going to change the fundamentals of the game, and they're not going to see this anymore.
Good news is that Roy Williams is okay. He was on the bench, telling everybody he was doing fine. Figures to be back in the game, and Collins will be a little bit poorer this week, or a lot poorer.
It's all relative.
Yeah, true. Ball at the 50-yard line. 1st and 10 now. Kitna throws, and that's off the hands of Felix Jones. Started to look upfield. Woodson that time on the blitz. Let's go back to the helmet to helmet.
And Nick Collins with his helmet to helmet hit. I personally have a bit of an issue with how the league's handling. I don't think that the answer is to fine the guys and suspend them after the fact. If you impact the game in question, if Nick Collins is ejected from the game at this point, you start to change the behavior of defensive players in a way that they're not doing now. When you do it after the fact, all you're doing is benefiting the next team that they play if you may suspend them in the future.
I'm with you. Meanwhile, you've got a sack fumble, and then it's picked up by Jones, so they retain possession, and Desmond Bishop came in and crowned him.
Oh, boy. Felix Jones here, just absolutely no idea. Has no idea. Basically, Tony Romo got injured when Chris Gronkowski missed the block, and Jon Kitna got the same treatment. Your running backs have to know who to block on the blitz, period. End of story.
Steve Young's career ended when Lawrence Phillips forgot to block. Timeout. Halfway through the 3rd quarter. 35-7 Packers. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Best Buy. Save time and money this holiday at Best Buy by Vicks NyQuil multi-symptom cold relief for a great night's sleep. By the 274 horsepower 33 MPG Sonata Turbo. And by Rogue Skyline this Friday. Our first encounter will be our last stand. Sauerkraut. Oh. You think about those boots the next time you put some sauerkraut on.
It's like that I Love Lucy episode where she's stomping on the grapes. And they're just splashing around. Well, we talked a little bit about Tony Romo getting hurt on a missed block. Our guys could find anything. Gronkowski goes outside. You see him turn around. Once he sees Michael Boley go inside, and that was that. And really, neither one of those were that complex. You have one guy that you're responsible for over there, and 2 quarterbacks take shots. Tough, cruel game in many ways, but I can tell you this, if you're a running back and you miss blocks and your quarterback standing over there, you don't last too long in this league.
Romo doesn't want to miss any games, but in particular, this is one that he really misses because he's a kid who grew up in Wisconsin. Loved Brett Favre. 3rd and 15. That gets tipped, and again, Clay Matthews is free. Ball is tipped. Play is over. 4th down.
For Dom Capers, this has been the easiest night calling plays of all time. He just puts his 2 best players on one side, loop them like that, and it's been wearing out the Dallas Cowboys. I'll tell you what, you want a head coaching candidate, how about Dom Capers? He has lost so many players on defense this year, at least 2.
Packer injuries, opening day starters on injured reserve. Ryan Grant, their #1 running back. Opening day, he was gone. Then Jermichael Finley, a guy around whom they built so much of that passing offense. Inside linebacker Nick Barnett, their leading tackler last year. Morgan Burnett, good-looking rookie defensive back. Brad Jones started the first 2 games and 5 of the previous 7. So Green Bay will have no sympathy for anybody else.
No, and when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, They lost Tony Romo, obviously, but other than that, they have been relatively healthy. It's remarkable. You would think if one of these two teams had collapsed this year, it would have been the Green Bay Packers.
So when you look back at the Cowboys, our defense here from the 12-yard line, and the quick pass to Nelson. You know, Chris, they had a bad preseason. Didn't play well. Some people were saying, well, you know, they were in Dallas, and then they went to San Antonio, and they came back to Dallas. They went to Oxnard in California, and all of that. Didn't look good. Couldn't run the ball. But for the most part, you and I both know that it very rarely carries into the regular season. Teams can look horrible, and then they open up like 6-0. But in this particular case, there was a lap over.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at them defensively right now, who is it that you say is the great player? I mean, DeMarcus Ware probably fits that bill, and other than that, I don't know where you turn next.
2nd and 4. And Rodgers finds the open man, and that's a first down as Brandon Jackson gets over at the sideline and makes the catch to move the chains.
Well, one thing in a 34 defense, occasionally you take your pass rushers and you drop them back into coverage, and here's Anthony Spencer going to end up trying to cover Brandon Jackson, who really just kept the play alive, kept moving, kept trying to do something for his quarterback. This is one of the best games I've seen Brandon Jackson play. He played well against Washington, over 100 yards rushing earlier this season, but he's starting to look like he's getting in the flow of this offense.
24-yard line, first down. Jennings, and Newman makes the tackle. One other thing, Chris, I think that's taken somewhat of a toll on Dallas. The Super Bowl's in their stadium, so the whole season starts. The offseason starts. Hey, can the Cowboys get to the Super Bowl? And it's talked about for months and months and months and months. And in a way, maybe some of that excitement was a little overwhelming.
Yeah, a little overwhelming, and maybe they got a little old in some key spots too. This offensive line kind of aged together, and there's some older linebackers, and I don't know, sometimes you have to anticipate what your team's going to be.
Kuhn close to a first down.
Here's one of the better players right now for the Green Bay Packers. Watch him secure the block and then get up on the next level. That's what you want. These two guys have been brilliant all season long, working those little combination blocks inside, but more importantly, protecting Aaron Rodgers and allowing him plenty of room to step up in the pocket where he can work some of that magic.
The old days. Look at this lineup.
Kuhn. That may be the three biggest running backs I've ever seen in my life in one NFL backfield.
When's the last time you saw like a real straight T?
I thought he was going to break out the wishbone. Look at these three guys. Looks like something out of an old Notre Dame photograph or something. And John Kuhn just powered his way through. There's the big dogs inside. That's the way they used to play back in about 1912.
Right, that's a play from 70 years ago.
Well, why not? We're in Green Bay.
Right. Rodgers, look at that pressure feel right there. Jones makes the catch. Sensabaugh with the tackle, and Rodgers right there just before he gets into that vice, steps out of it, completes the pass.
Boy, Ware almost had him here, but just a great feel by Rodgers. Going to step up and through, and when he gets moving, he can throw from some strange angles. Watch this arm angle here. He just kind of takes it and flips it right on the money. This has been some show by Aaron Rodgers tonight.
Only 5 incomplete passes for him tonight. He's 26 out of 31. 276 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Jackson runs around Newman before he goes out of bounds. Quinn Johnson through the block.
Well, for Aaron Rodgers, sort of interesting mechanics. You know, when he came out of college, he used to hold the ball up way high, but look at him here. He really never even steps when he throws. He kind of just has this little hop or something, but he makes for a very quick release. He doesn't have to take the big, long stride that a lot of these guys do, and you can just see him growing into the position. I really think Aaron Rodgers now is just becoming one of those elite quarterbacks in the league. Maybe not up there yet with the top 3, top 4, but just behind them.
Jackson. Well, it's a story we've told before, but we might as well tell it again with a 35-7 score.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy's in San Francisco as the offensive coordinator under Mike Nolan. He looks at Rodgers and he looks at Alex Smith. Then he passes on Rodgers and they take Smith. And then, of course, what happens is McCarthy gets the Green Bay job. And here they are matched up. Rodgers goes 24th. Smith goes 1st. And, of course, at this particular point, Aaron has clearly trumped Alex on every level.
And Mike McCarthy, when the first time he saw Aaron Rodgers, he said, okay, I didn't pick you, live with it, let's go. And that was it. That was the whole conversation.
Here's that T again, and they give it to the fullback, Kuhn, to the 29-yard line.
So far, there hasn't been a lot of mystery to that formation, has there?
Well, you run 58 plays. You go through the whole book, don't you? They've run 58 plays, and the Cowboys have run 28 plays.
Wow. 87 total yards.
That is a thrashing.
That is embarrassing. When you look at the talent that is on this field offensively for the Dallas Cowboys, that is unbelievable.
And it's incomplete, and there is a flag. Dallas may have had too many men on the field. There are 2 flags. And Walt Coleman will make the call in a moment. Did the Cowboys have 12? Somebody late in getting off. That play was a 3rd and 5, so that would be a first down if it's against Dallas.
Offside, 92 defense. That penalty's declined. 12 men on the field on the defense. That penalty's accepted. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Here you go. There's your 12th man trying to get off the field.
You know,
Josh Brent.
It's one thing to get beat physically. It's another thing when you're, yeah. I mean, it's not a nicer man in the world than Wade Phillips, but this is bad. He had one losing record in the last 12 years.
Yeah, got him fired too. It was at Denver in '94, and then Mike Shanahan came in the following year. From the 25-yard line, Kuhn, and he takes it to the 23 under a minute to play in the 3rd quarter. So, well, the speculation's already started, and when you talk about the coaching future of anybody right now, of course, everybody goes to the guys who won Super Bowl trophies who are out there. John Gruden and Bill Cowher. They would top anybody's list. That's the fans will go to those 2 guys first. John Fox's contract is up in Carolina. John was a man who went to a Super Bowl and gave New England all they could handle a few years back. So he'd be another guy in there.
I'll give you another name. Perry Fuel with the New York Giants.
The job he's done with the defense.
Oh, man. Yes, sir.
Kuhn again. And that's going to take us to the 4th quarter. End of 3 on a night of celebration in Lambeau. It's been all Packers, 35-7 Green Bay. And NBC's Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Aerial coverage as you look down at Lambeau Field, brought to you tonight by Geico. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Andrea Kramer. We start the 4th quarter in Green Bay. Big night for Aaron Rodgers. 276 yards, 3 touchdowns. And he starts the final quarter at the 18-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys with a 3rd down and 3. Jennings, and that'll make it a 1st down and goal. Church comes in to make the tackle.
Well, right now the Packers just have this defense solved. You go in motion, you see the guy running across with him, so now you know it's man coverage. So you run this little pick play on the outside, then you get it down to about the 5-yard line. There's not a mystery right now. They know exactly what the Dallas Cowboys are doing, and it's like telling a major league hitter, you're going to get fastball, you're going to get curveball, you're going to get blasted.
Kuhn is the tailback. A little toss back to him. He takes it to the 3-yard line. Good workload for Kuhn tonight. 13 carries for 51 yards, and he shared it with Jackson, who has 11 carries for 37.
Well, and if the Packers can get enough of a running game going, it just slows down the pass rush a little bit. You know, they're just trying to reestablish. They lose a 1,200-yard rusher and Ryan Grant, the ability to go downhill. And John Kuhn gives them a little bit of that physical nature in there, you know, makes you stand in there tough and make tackles, and it just slows you down as a pass rusher, which is obviously what they like to do most.
2nd and goal and a whistle.
False start, 71. Offense, 5-yard penalty, still singing down.
So Josh Sitton gets called for one of the rare penalties tonight against the Green Bay Packers. That is only the 2nd. Second down and goal from the 8-yard line.
Blitz coming.
And that time the intended receiver is a tight end, Crabtree.
Well, you know, I mean, I'm no genius, but, you know, you move people. That time they take Brandon Jackson out of the backfield. Keith Brooking went across here with him. Man coverage. Okay, I know exactly what I want in man coverage. I'll take that one. They just didn't complete it.
You studied law at Florida. You are a genius, aren't you?
University of Cincinnati. I did that other stuff in Florida, but yeah, the answer is yes.
3rd and goal. And Rodgers throws, and that is incomplete, and Jones knows he should have had it.
And for James Jones, it has been a nearly perfect night tonight until that one. That would have really capped it off for him. Just comes on a slant, man coverage. They know what it is.
And Rodgers had been perfect, 8 for 8 passing on 3rd down. We talked about the problems they've had this year, but they have rectified them at least for one evening. 26-yard attempt coming for Mason Crosby to tack on 3 more and put the Green Bay Packers up by a score of 38-7. Packers last week beat the Jets at the Meadowlands. It was the first road shutout against a team that was 5-1 or better since 1965 when the Bears beat the Colts. So the Packers went in there, and they would have had a shutout tonight. They were close to it, except for that Dallas last gasp end of first half score with Des Bryant getting into the end zone. They're that close to another blanking tonight. And this is Felix Jones. Cowboys 29 plays tonight. The fewest in a game. If you go back to 65-39, they're going to put that one in jeopardy here as Jones takes the ball out to the 38-yard line. There's Matt Flynn getting loose. Always a good sign when your backup quarterback is warming up and you're not hurt.
Anywhere else in America, they might be going home at this point, but not Green Bay. They get 8 of these moments every year, and they're fired up. But I don't know what it is exactly now. But going into this drive, the time of possession in this game, 33 minutes to 13. You don't see that very often in the NFL.
A lot of these folks, this is what they call the Milwaukee contingent. For years, the Packers used to play 2 or 3 games a year in Milwaukee, and then they stopped doing that, but they allowed the people from Milwaukee, that region, to get tickets as that catch is made by Witten. And Witten gets taken down by Bigby at the 30-yard line. And Kitna says, let's get up there and we're going to go no huddle.
Well, they finally found a little seam down the middle here. And for the Green Bay Packers, they're happy to see that guy back in the lineup. Just his own defense, and Jason Witten got down the seam. But Atari Bigby coming back is huge for the Green Bay Packers. Really, Charlie Pepper has done well, but he was their third safety. Look out.
And look at that. It gets batted. It's taken by Clay Matthews. With Woodson escorting him, and Matthews is going to go all the way into the end zone. Touchdown, Packers, and a Lambeau lead. There's his dad leaning forward right there. Well, he may have just cemented Defensive Player of the Year.
Look at this blitz. And here comes Woodson again. We've seen it all night, and it has killed the Cowboys all night. I think this is a dual deflection there by Woodson and A.J. Hawk. And for Clay Matthews, what else can you do? Seems like every time we watch a game, something like that happens for him, and what a year.
Second career touchdown. He had one on a fumble return last year. Crosby bangs it through. And now it really is over. Wednesday, new back-to-back episodes of Law & Order. First, Law & Order SVU with guest star Marcia Gay Harden, followed by Law & Order Los Angeles. Wednesday night on the National Broadcasting Company.
We've been looking at Jay Ratliff on the sideline all night. He's been on the oxygen. I don't know if he's sick or not, but it has been a tough night for him.
7-yard line. McCann. And next week, Battle of the Heavyweights. Heinz Field, Pittsburgh, Tom Brady and the Patriots. Our first look at them this season. Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They play Cincinnati tomorrow night. 3 Super Bowl titles for the Pats, 2 for the Steelers. They match up on America's Game of the Week next Sunday night. From the 35-yard line on first down, Bryant. Well, if you're Dallas now, Chris, I mean, now it's not that it wasn't serious, but you have a situation, you know, they thought they were going to play a decent game tonight. They thought they had a letdown last week after, you know, the Romo got hurt against New York and they lost to Jacksonville, thought they'd bounce back. This is an embarrassment. Now what? You still have half the season to go. 8 games.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jerry Jones is going to get gang tackled in the locker room after this game by the media, and they're going to want to know the answer to one question: are you firing Wade? That's it. That's what it's going to come down to after a performance like this. They expected much better. They thought they were going to get much better, and instead they got much worse. If that's the case, I don't know what you do. You know, I mean, it's tough.
Barber gets taken down there. You know, there's an irony here. Jason Garrett, about 3 years ago, was about the hottest young assistant in the league. He's the offensive coordinator. He calls the plays. There he is. He could have, by all accounts, had the Baltimore job, which wound up going to John Harbaugh. Could have had the Atlanta job, which wound up going to Mike Smith. Those guys have done really good jobs there. And the Cowboys kept Garrett. Makes a lot of money for an assistant coach, but he's no longer the hot young assistant.
But he's not the head coach either.
Right.
So at some point, are you going to say, at the very least, out of this disastrous season, let me find out if Jason Garrett can be the head coach? And I think that is probably the strongest argument for making a move. And you hate to put it in those terms, but a lot of times that's what it comes down to.
I think the most interesting thing is going to be whether Jerry Jones decides to go with an offensive pedigree or a defensive pedigree.
Well, and if he goes defense, you have to remember he has 3-4 personnel, so that has to factor into it.
And McBriar is able to boot that one out at the 2-yard line. A flag is down, so we're going to take the band and put them back in the shed for a second. Hold those trumpets.
But if you had to guess right now, I don't know that Wade survives this night.
Well, so if you make a change, you have to go intra-staff.
Yeah.
And so what are you saying then? Garrett or, let's get the call here.
Kicking team player went out of bounds on his own. That is a 5-yard penalty, and we will re-kick. 4th down.
Just another Dallas miscue. So you get this beautiful kick by McBriar. Not that it matters in a game like this. By himself, there he is, Danny McRae.
Well, he was hoping and thinking that he was going to get pushed out of bounds, and Brandon Underwood was smart enough to say, I know I can't push you out of bounds, and so he just let him fall out of bounds. And that's about par for tonight. Boy, it's been a long time since I've seen somebody humiliate the Dallas Cowboys like this.
This is the worst of the unholy trinity. Giants, Jacksonville, and now this. And that's Tramon Williams on the run back here. And now we cue the band again. 8:41 remaining. Pretty ugly numbers over the last 3 games for the Dallas Cowboys. 9 turnovers. 1,289 yards in 3 games. And of course, 3 losses. And heading for a 1-7 mark. The ball's at the 23, and Matt Flynn, 3rd-year quarterback out of LSU, the backup, comes in to finish out the game. Just to go back to the coaching thing, Chris, for a second. You look at Jerry Jones's history. He buys the team in '89. He brings his longtime buddy Jimmy Johnson in, and that works out tremendously successfully. Jimmy wins a couple of Super Bowls. They have a 5-year run, and then Jimmy's out, and then Barry Switzer comes in, who Jerry had a history with as well, and Barry's there for 4 years and wins 1 Super Bowl. Then when he changed coaches after Switzer, I remember talking to Jerry at the time, and he said, one of the most important things to me is I want a head coach who will call his own plays. So he hired Chan Gailey, who's now the coach at Buffalo. That lasted 2 years, but it was important that we wanted to go offense.
Well, just an observation. When the Dallas Cowboys have had a hard-edged, demanding head coach that confronts the players and Jerry Jones on occasion, being Jimmy Johnson and Bill Parcells, this organization has been ascending. When they have had the other style, they've been descending. And I think that that'll probably play into this as well, which, you know, throws some names out there like the Bill Cowhers of the world.
Well, again, I go back to this offense-defense thing. Because he had Switzer, he had Gailey for offense. Then when he let Chan go, he went defense, and he promoted from within with Dave Campo for 3 years. And that's incomplete. Dave is still on the staff as the secondary coach. Then he decided, after 3 years with Campo, he had to make the big splash. And, of course, what bigger splash could a guy make than to go get Bill Parcells?
Yeah, but, you know, Bill Parcells and Jimmy Johnson were also two tremendous personnel guys. You know, they added talent to this roster on both occasions. And even though Bill Parcells didn't end up winning the Super Bowl, a lot of the really top-end guys that they have here came from those years.
Here's Matthew's kick. And it goes through Bryant's hands. And does Green Bay come up with a ball? Was he inbounds is the question. Jared Bush. And the question is, was he inbounds as he comes up with it?
Well, he definitely got his hands on it pretty cleanly, and I think he got his second foot down. We'll take a look.
So Bryant loses it. Now you have to control. His elbow hits the chalk.
But if he ends up with control, he never steps out of bounds, which is also key.
Well, it looks like his elbow is on the chalk as he's controlling it.
But if he had 2 feet down before that.
You know, it's one of those things, I hate to say it. I mean, Wade is not even going to challenge it. I mean, at this point, you could, but it's 45-7. I mean, that says it all, too, right now. It's a challenge you might win, but they just want to go home.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 feet down, possession of the ball. I think that's a recovery.
Yep.
There's possession, clean.
Well, but the arm is down too. I mean, again, it's one of those things. If it's a key moment in the game,
I say let's debate it the rest of the night.
No,
or Joe DeCamillis.
Joe DeCamillis can only lean back.
Maybe he's the head coach. He's good at yelling at people.
Son-in-law of Dan Reeves. So again, with the coaching situation, you know, it's speculation. Again, it's going to be Cowher and Gruden. We know that for starters. So if you want to go offense, you go Gruden. If you want to go defense, you go Cowher. John Fox, again, you know, John's still coaching Carolina, but his deal is up.
You know, the other part of this is that Jason Garrett is the name we're talking about on the staff, but offensively, they haven't exactly been lighting it up either. So, you know, if you're going to pass around some of the blame, it's hard to put it all on Wade.
Absolutely. That's why I'm factoring that into the whole thing about what Jones does. And this is Dimitri Nance.
You know, the other part of this is you send a message by doing nothing, too. You know, that we're okay. You know, and that's not really Jerry's personality either, you know. I mean, there's a little Steinbrenner in there, and these fans want blood. They want more. They want him to go for it here.
And Anthony Spencer holding his arm or wrist as he comes off the field. 4th down and 3 with under 5 to play at the 10-yard line. Matt Flynn, 7th-round pick in 08, former LSU Tiger, hands the ball off, and Nance goes nowhere. Tackled there by Bowen. Dallas will get the ball back with 4:39 to play at Lambeau. 45-7, the Green Bay Packers. Packers remaining schedule bye week next week. They'll get healthier. Go to Minnesota in 2 weeks. At Atlanta, that'll be tough. San Francisco comes in here. Then at Detroit and at New England, and they close the season here against the Giants and Chicago. I mean, 2 games that could mean either #1 seed in the conference, NFC North title. The 4 of the next 5 are on the road. So this was a big one to win as they go to 6-3 from the 12-yard line. And you got Kitna throwing to Bryant. Hey, by the way, we should just mention and take a look at. We mentioned Matthews before, and the dad is here, and what a night he has had.
It's been really a tremendous defensive performance by everybody on the Packers, but 2 guys in particular. Clay Matthews just is absolutely relentless. It's the reason I love watching him play. Even if he doesn't get there, he does spectacular stuff with his hustle and his heart, and it shows up every single week. And he just makes plays like that all season long. But he had some help tonight, too. Charles Woodson was pretty spectacular as well.
2nd and 7. Choice. He wants a face mask. Doesn't get it.
So, of course, our guys have a package on Charles Woodson as well. And he was coming off the edge all night long, and they just couldn't find him. Jon Kitna and the offensive line, they're disguising these blitzes, and they just get free runners. And really, Jon Kitna has to take some responsibility for it. That time he tried to get it out of there hot. It ended up 6 points the other way.
Woodson, a Heisman Trophy winner, playing almost exclusively defense at Michigan, though he did play a little bit of offense. But the guy who could become the first ever to win a Heisman Trophy on the defensive end and go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there was a defensive MVP last year. Said Mom still has the Heisman Trophy, and he is some player. He's been that way for a long time, Talking to Jon Kitna, he said, I played him 4 years ago, and I started thinking, he must be getting a little older now. Maybe I can pick him. He said, I put on the tape and went, oops.
Started his career with the Raiders, played with the Raiders in the Super Bowl after the 2002 season. Hey, by the way, we should mention another thing here. Bill Cowher and John Gruden, I have no idea if they want to coach, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They've both been in television. We're just throwing the names out because those are going to be the guys who will be, at least in terms of the fan speculation and wish list, at the top of any team's list that needs a new head coach.
I tell you what, Dom Capers is moving up my list quickly. What he's been able to do with this defense and all these injuries this year has been nothing short of remarkable. I mean to tell you, it is simply remarkable.
2nd and 8. And it's caught by Bryant. And if you go to Capers, remember Dom has been a head coach on 2 occasions. He was the original head coach of the Carolina expansion team. And then he was the head coach when Houston came into the league as the Texans.
But across the board, I mean, it would take me. Nick Barnett is leading tackler a year ago. Justin Harrell, Mike Neal, Brady Papinga, Brad Jones, Morgan Burnett, Derek Martin, Al Harris. That's a who's who on defense. And yet it seems like they're getting better every week.
They are. Second and 10.
Well, Jon Kitna called it the Star Wars defense. He says you look like you're looking out in the galaxy and they've got a body everywhere. And whether they're bringing pressure or not, they just find a way to find all of your receivers and get them covered up. This is sort of the old Pittsburgh style. If you like what Dick LeBeau does with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dom Capers, Dick LeBeau, same thing. Those are the same style of defenses. Of course, Dom came from Pittsburgh.
This is Martellus Bennett. And Martellus Bennett doesn't go down until about 4 green shirts get there collectively. 2-minute warning. Sunday Night Football in Green Bay, and it has been all Green Bay. And a reminder, coming up after the game, Andrea will have an interview. And then Bob Toney and Mike Florio will wrap up the game and other NFL news. Chris and I will take a look ahead to the Patriots and the Steelers. Chris, if you are a fan of the Dallas Cowboys and you don't know where your team is going to play next week, you don't want to know. At the Giants.
Oh, God. The team is playing the best in the NFC, and that's really where this whole thing got started. I mean, they were sailing along against the Giants, had a lead, had a chance to go up 3 touchdowns. Tony Romo got hurt, and it has been a big 0 since then.
The Giants go to Seattle today and completely annihilate the Seahawks, 41-7. So much for traveling to the Pacific Northwest. and having trouble. And this is Sam Hurd.
The Seahawks, though, I watched them on tape last week against the Raiders. The Raiders dismantled them. They looked like they had 12 Hall of Famers on their defensive line against Seattle's offensive line.
And the Raiders won another one today, so all of a sudden the Raiders are now a playoff contender. First and 10, the ball is at the 33-yard line. His choice. But Chris, that's what the league's become. You know, sure, people go up to you as they do to me every week, and they go, "Well, who's the best team in the league?" I go, "Well, what day is it?" You know, this week it's whoever it is, the Giants, Pittsburgh. It used to be. I mean, it was New England maybe last week, and they go to Cleveland and get beat.
Well, my answer is always the season starts at Thanksgiving. Because the game changes. You know, when the weather starts to turn and some of these teams that can run the ball, and it just is a different game. And that's when we decide championships anyway. So sometimes some of these passing teams and finesse teams look great early, but come crunch time, not so good. So we'll see.
That's Bennett, and we're under a half a minute to go. So that much time left before the Dallas Cowboys go to the airport and head home, and who knows what's going to happen, and go to New York to face the Giants next week. And Green Bay will take a few days off, a bye week, and then head to Minnesota with a 6-3 record.
Well, there's only going to be one interview of interest after this game. It's Jerry Jones. You know, and for Jerry, pressure's going to be on. It doesn't matter what he does. If he makes the change, it's going to be tough. If he doesn't make the change, it's going to be really tough.
And Kitna, he's going to get sacked. C.J. Wilson, and that is a total stunking. $45-7. As the Cowboys go to 1-7, and 6-3 is the Green Bay mark. And a couple of guys hobbling off the field tells the visual story. So coming up next, it'll be the Gillette post-game report. Andrea will be along with an interview with the stars of the game, and the whole gang will be on hand to wrap it up. We'll look ahead to next week's game on the Gillette post-game report after these messages from your NBC station.